Let's try this new Anastasia Beverly Hills Beauty Balm Serum Boosted Skin Tint. It comes in 16 shades and retails for $42 for 0.83 ounces. I got it in shade number 2, which is fair but supposed to be for a cool rosy undertone, which is pretty accurate for me. This is supposed to be a brand new sort of hybrid formula that fuses skincare and makeup. It's supposed to have 8 skincare ingredients. Most of them are oils. Let's give this on a try on totally bare skin. The one thing I have done is put a little bit of concealer on here, although most of it has worn off from this morning, so I'll probably add a little bit more. I will add a little bit more back in because I'm looking pretty dark. For those of you who mentioned it, I'm putting a different background. I have lowered my lights. Let me know if you still can't see my skin well enough, because I really want to make sure that, I'm doing a review where you can actually see what's going on. I do have some texture. I'm 48. I was on Accutane. I've had very bad skin. I get sebaceous hyperplasias. They're just overactive oil glands. I don't break out that much anymore, but sometimes I do. And just generally, I'm starting to wrinkle a little bit. I just had laser procedures, so I am looking better than I have skin-wise, but I'm getting close to 50 years old. So yes, I have some fine lines. I have some wrinkles. I have some pretty dry, creasy under eyes. Boy, they're really bad lately. I have all the things. I have spider veins underneath here, which I'm also getting treated with lasers. I want to make sure that you can see how this treats those and kind of the results you can expect. Okay, enough said. I have tried this for probably 4 days now, and the first 3 times I tried it, it was just a no-go. It was terrible, but I was also wearing full-on, sunscreen, serums, moisturizers, everything underneath, primers. What I have found is that you cannot wear anything underneath this and have it work. So, since this is meant to be moisturizer, skincare, a serum stick, all by itself, we're going to wear it that way. I can tell you right now that that is the only way that I've had some success. So let's go ahead and give that a go. I was using brushes. I have not used sponges because, as I've said before, I'm not super comfortable with sponges. I'm not a sponge person. I cannot imagine with how sort of oily this is and greasy it is. A wet sponge, I'm thinking, would just break it up a lot. Maybe a dry sponge, but I can't see where those two things, oil and water, don't go together real well. So this is real oily. I found that you need to be very, very light with your application of this, and I'm going to go ahead and start that way. So we're going to start on this side. And when I first did it, I put a ton on, and I used a brush, and it was not good. So finally, what has been working the best, and see, this is actually quite pretty, does not offer a ton of coverage. They don't say it does, so that's actually okay. If you use this basically like a serum or a moisturizer, it goes in really, really pretty. So that's the way that I have found that really works the best. And with this, don't just do what I like to do, which is just like slap it all over my face and just like get to it. It ends up being too much, and then I have to wipe a lot off. So it's better to just work it in like this with your fingers, and especially into, like, if you have dry patches, it's actually great with dry patches. If you have sort of like a little bit more textured dry areas or wrinkles, work this in like you would a moisturizer or, a moisturizing primer. That is definitely the best way to get a really nice finish with this. Yesterday, I actually tried putting my usual Tarte primer right here underneath this, and that was too much. It didn't go so well. I was really hoping to have some SPF. I can't find an SPF that I have that I can wear with this immediately. For a lot of us, that's a problem. But not everybody's wearing their SPF. Some people, SPF just flat breaks them out, and they would prefer to wear a hat. You know what? If you are somebody who lives in a very not sunny kind of environment, or you are wearing your hat, you're probably okay. I mean, it is good to be wearing your sunscreen. I wear my sunscreen every day because I've had skin cancer. I had to have it removed. It was extremely painful. Luckily, it wasn't melanoma, so it wasn't deadly, but it would have been really disfiguring if I hadn't had it taken care of, and it was actually quite big. It ended up being about an inch by inch area. So 10 hours of surgery later, you know, it definitely got me to start wearing my sunscreen. Okay, so here's kind of my little areas right here where I have a little bit of wrinkles. It's not bad. Again, I just did lasers and I'm at the 6-week mark, so I've definitely had some improvement in the texture of my skin, but it's not perfect. I didn't go for the full CO2 laser. Had I done that, I probably would have, you know, completely smooth skin there, but the recovery on that is just wild, so I wasn't up for it. Okay, so this is going to be the best application that you can get without it just piling up and looking terrible. This is the amount of coverage that you can really expect. They very specifically say this is just a skin tint. It is not meant to cover a ton. It does not cover a ton. One thing that I was able to do is I can take a brush and a little bit, and I can add a little bit more very carefully to some of the areas, and then get just a little more coverage. It really does allow for that. And I think that if you have very, very dry skin and this doesn't like sort of sit on top of it, it more sinks in, you might be able to get away with even more. So, I mean, it actually is very cautiously a little bit buildable. So that's what I'm gonna do here. So I'm gonna do what I always do just to get rid of any brush marks, and I'm gonna use my Stands Out sponge if I can find it, and I'm just gonna tamp in the rest of this. The only issue with doing this, but I still do it anyway, is that it does remove a little bit of the makeup, but it leaves you with a much more natural finish. Okay, so this is what you can expect. Hopefully you can see. This is what you can expect as far as coverage, natural finish. It does not dry down. Like it's still coming off on my fingers. So you could leave it here, but that's not how I'm gonna be comfortable wearing it. If you don't have a lot to cover, this would probably be you. I do recommend, however, setting it, because if you leave it like this, when you touch your face, it's gonna be on your hands. And although it's very comfortable, it doesn't feel like sticky or anything like that because it's so balmy. Every time you touch your face, it's gonna come off on stuff. So I am going to put a little bit of concealer on, and then I am going to put a little bit of Givenchy powder on it just to set it down, especially because I'm an oily skin person. Frankly, this is not made for my skin type, but I thought I'd give it a try because sometimes the stick foundations I actually can make work if I set down with a powder. These real balmy types of skin sticks, actually when you have little dry patches and you have like a little bit of texture and things like that, they can really sort of fill that in and moisturize, and sometimes they make, you know, even oily kind of combo skin look better. So I always like to give them a try. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put the powder on and the concealer, and then we will finish my makeup and I will give you my final thoughts before we get started. So here's what you can expect after it has been powdered. Hopefully you can see, yes, it looks a lot more flawless. That's because in person, it really looks pretty flawless right now. It's moisturized enough to fill in any of my lines here, and then been set down with the lightest of powder. So you're not going to see a whole lot of texture at this point. That's kind of the point. So yeah, even in regular light, which, you know, I'll show you, this is really, really flawless looking at this point. We'll get there. I'm gonna finish up my makeup and then I will give you my final thoughts before we start the wear test. Okay, we are going to start the wear test here. I have all my makeup on. This is my third or fourth try trying to get this to work for me, but I feel like I finally might have it. So we're actually going to do the wear test here. I did several days already, and I didn't make it really out of the gate before I was like, this has got to come off. This is really bad. I finally figured out, I think, how to wear this for oily skin. I'm actually quite happy with how this looks now. Very happy with how it felt going on this time. Finally, it didn't feel so greasy. It actually felt like skincare. And I do think that using the hands is probably the best way. If you go too thick with this, it's just not workable. And I have tested several days already, especially on my chest. So I actually really like putting it on my chest. It's nice and moisturizing. It feels good. The problem is it doesn't dry down. So it's going to get all over whatever you have. So if you're a darker skin tone than me, you're probably going to see it on your clothes, which is probably not great. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this wear test started. I am hopeful that this is how to make this product work the best, and that I'm actually going to have a pretty good skin day today, finally. All right, 0 hour, let's get started. Okay, this is 0 hour in natural light. I think it looks really good so far. Thank goodness, because it was not looking good before. Okay. Okay, this is the 3 hour mark on a different day where I did have skincare underneath it. So this is 3 hours and, gosh, God, this looks terrible. 3 hours and a lot of powder later. I don't know what to say, you guys. This is awful. This is definitely not made for my skin type. I'm so disappointed. It felt so good when I first put it on. Oh well, you know, I just want to rub this off. Look at how much texture it's giving me. It's like it picks up on everything. I understand that I am not like the target, but you would think it would be moisturizing, right? No, it's just greasy and it sits on top. Oh God, I don't like this one. Okay, well, I'm gonna continue. This is 3 hours in and a lot of powder. Okay, 4 hours, back to today's wear test. Okay, so, you know, as expected, this is only 4 hours in and I am greasy. I have not touched my face. I've been busy and I just looked and wow. You know, not really shocking, honestly. I will say, like, the texture is not bad. At this point I would powder or I would wipe my face or something. But I mean, you know, this kind of foundation is not gonna be perfect for somebody with oily skin, obviously, because it went from looking really, really good to massive grease fest. I'll probably do one more check-in, but I mean, this is already to a point where I wouldn't wear this out. I think this is definitely for dry skin folks. All right. Wow. I'm a little amazed at how greasy this is. It's really greasy. Wow. Especially because just a few hours ago, it looked actually really nice. So at least I don't feel dry. That's good. All right. All right, I'll check back in. Okay, so I made it to 6 hours. I am an oil slick. This is pretty bad. So I'm not going to be too hard on this, honestly, because I found a way to wear it where it looked good for 2 to 3 hours on, you know, medium to oily skin. So, I mean, that's better than I thought it would do, especially after I tried wearing it several times. This is horrible. Like, I would not be okay out in public like this. I would be just like wiping the makeup off my face. I would rather have no makeup on than look this incredibly greasy. No huge surprise. Who is this for? It's for dry skin. I mean, shocker. It's really supposed to be a bunch of skincare in here. It's supposed to be moisturizing, and it's supposed to be like lightweight serum-y. I would say that the finish on this, the way it feels, is greasy. It's tough because it's greasy in a way that feels really, really emollient, and it kind of feels really nice. That's why I picked it up, is because in store I was like, ooh, this just slides right on. It's so nice. I love it. But that doesn't really work on your face if you have oily skin. If you are ultra dry and you just want a little bit of evening out and you want something that is going to feel moisturizing, that you don't mind powdering down. I don't know, because I'm not ultra dry right now, if you could get away with not powdering this at all if you're ultra dry, maybe. But I think even so, you are going to end up, oh my gosh, like my makeup has been transferring because it's so greasy, it's moving stuff around on my face. I put some of this like around my eyes as well, just to test it. Just so you know, I tried it underneath my eyes. I wouldn't do that. I ended up kind of having to remove it. It did end up creasing along with the powders and stuff that I had to put on it. They don't say to do that. I thought I'd try. Don't. It doesn't really work that way. Anyway, if you are ultra dry and you want a dewy finish and you want to feel moisturized, and you are the kind of person that absolutely does not want to you don't want to be putting sunscreen on, and you don't want to be putting a bunch of serums on and a whole bunch of skincare. If you just want to skip all that, you just want like something to swipe on that kind of like evens out redness and discoloration a little bit and feels really balmy and leaves you feeling really balmy, and you don't mind that it's not going to dry down, then this is for you. If you are really dry and you don't mind powdering it down just a little bit, that's not going to look really bad on your skin, and you like a balmy finish that gives you that moisture, and again, you don't want to use any other kind of sunscreens or serums or skincare, vitamin C, moisturizer, all that stuff that I usually use even as an oily skin person. I tried all of that. You cannot put anything, in my experience, nothing can go underneath this, like not even the lightest thing, without ruining its ability to sink in and actually be very beautiful on your skin for at least a couple hours. So, would I recommend getting this for most people? Probably not. I think you have to be the driest of the dry skin to really appreciate this, and then maybe. And I will say that for a couple hours with powder, this was really pretty, and it did kind of sink into some of my texture areas, and it moisturized and has actually left me with less texture than the Urban Decay mattifying one that I just tried, because it really did kind of moisturize and fill in. If you put it on anything else that's extra moisturizing, that's going to be too much. It just sits on top of that, and then it gives you more texture. If you're oily skin, like, pass. It's not worth, for 40 something dollars, I think it's $42, there's no reason to get this just for some moisture. Just use your sunscreens. All of those things that you would put on underneath this are probably better for you than what little bit of skincare is in here, especially the SPF. It's not really great to be skipping your SPF just so you can wear this. But you know, some people are like, I'm not doing SPF. I don't care. I just want something I put on with my fingers real quick, and I just don't want to think about that much. Maybe this is for you. If you are an oily skin person, or even a combo person, or a normal skin person, and you wanted sort of a good stick kind of foundation, I do have a couple that I recommend that I really like that works for both dry skin and for combo to oily skin. It kind of works for all of the skin types. I would recommend the Merit sticks. I absolutely adore these. They don't have a huge shade range, but if you have a shade, you know, that you can find that works for you with them. So even this is a little bit dark for me, but I'm able to make this work just fine. This one offers nice, creamy, smooth coverage. It does actually sort of dry down to a little bit of a, it's not a powdery finish, but it looks a little bit like that. It's like a velvet finish. It's very, very pretty. I loved wearing this when I had very dry skin with Accutane. I still love wearing this with oily skin. I just have to powder more and it doesn't last as long because my oils do break through. But this one is also very moisturizing, but it does go over all of my sunscreens and serums and all of that stuff. And it blends out like a dream. So my recommendation is to, unless you're the driest of the dry and you really want to try this and give it a go, I would just go with the Merit stick because I'm not a stick foundation kind of person, but I absolutely love the finish on this. I love putting it on my face. It feels good. It looks beautiful. You can wear it both dewy and powdered down, and it's just gorgeous. It's very seamless on your skin. It's very, very creamy and beautiful. And this whole video is becoming a recommendation to just get the Merit stick. The only other one that I've tried that I do like is the Hourglass foundation sticks. They also don't have a huge range of colors, but they do have ones. This one works for me, this very, very light one. It's very light, but it's still a little bit dark for me. This one is thicker and a little bit drier. This one is better if you have oily skin. You know, it's still going to run into a lot of the problems. I would not put this one underneath your eyes because I do find that this creases underneath the eyes, whereas the Merit stick, it will crease if you put too much, or if it's been a while, you'll notice it starts to bunch up because it does move around a little bit. But this one definitely creases. I wouldn't do that. However, this one's really great sort of in the T-zone. It dries down definitely to the powdery finish. You got to work a little bit faster with it, but it leaves you with a very beautiful blended out, not too heavy, not too cakey kind of finish. So the Hourglass sticks are also very, very good. And then I also want to do what I always like to do at the end is, let's see how this cleans up. I'm so oily, I just want to like rub everything off my face. Normally I just work it back in with a brush, but I feel like I'm going to overload the brush because I am that oily. So let's see, how are we going to do this? I'm going to get literally something to blot with because it's that bad. So yeah, all right. We're going to start by just, there we go. That's really, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, so now this is all broken up. It looks like crap. This is still, that did not do it. Okay, now we're going to use my brush. And I have lost total coverage because I just blotted. The coverage ended up going from all of my spots, the redness under my nose. I am working it back in with my foundation brush that I used earlier today. Okay, so that's doable. But I have lost a lot of coverage, and I would rate this as not great for cleanup. Some of them clean up really easily. It's not a big deal. So if you're an oily skin person and you really like that finish that it originally had and you want to wear it anyway and you don't mind cleaning up, some of them clean up really, really well. This one, this is a lot of work. You almost have to start over. I can try powdering, but I don't know. I think I would just say this is not an oily skin person friendly kind of stick foundation. There, I'm just putting a little bit more powder on. What it looks like now is almost like I didn't have any makeup on and I just moved a little bit of light makeup around. So I've lost, you know, tons and tons of coverage, and it looks like I'm just powdering almost like serumed skin. So I've got like all my discoloration is popping through. This just doesn't, it's a little bit patchy up here. It doesn't clean up well. So sorry. Let's go ahead and finish this up. This is for dry skin people only. And even then, I don't know if it's the best option out there for dry skin. If you are curious and you want to try it, maybe if you like really, really balmy stuff, like I gotta say, this felt really good on my hand. I was excited for it, but it doesn't dry down. It stays like that, which is, you know, it keeps this is just definitely not going to dry out. There's no way, but it doesn't dry out on your skin either. And that's just a straight up, that's a mess. That's what that is. So I have to say, in general, I would not recommend this particular one. I don't think that it is a great option really for any skin types, unless you just happen to be super interested in it and you have dry skin and you want to give it a go. Okay. All right, that's enough. I've trashed on it enough. We'll be moving on to the next foundation soon. I am waiting for the new Lisa Eldridge skin tint to show up. I'm very excited about that because everybody seems to just love it, and I love a good skin tint. I think they kind of work for all skin types. So looking forward to that one, but I don't have it in my hot little hands yet. If you have any questions, of course, leave them below as always, as I am happy to answer them. I'm here because I like to talk to you guys, and I don't have any makeup friends that live anywhere near me, and so I really like talking to you guys about makeup, and I like sharing information and seeing what works for you and trying things out and just sharing like my experiences so that you guys don't end up wasting money. Okay, well, that's it for this week. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week, and I will see you guys in the next video. Oh yes, and if you haven't subscribed yet, I sure would appreciate if you would go ahead and like and subscribe, as it really helps my channel to grow, and I appreciate you guys being here. I'll see you guys in the next video.